Welcome back to 100x Entrepreneur Summit. This is already our fourth day here, and it will be until 7th of February 2021. Welcome back, guys. So thank you so much for joining us again in our 100x Entrepreneur Summit. So this is already our second part of our live. There are 2 more parts to go. Total, there'll be 4 parts. Now, in this session, we are going to invite our speaker, which is all the way from New Zealand. But before that, guys, before we invite our speaker, I would like all of you to join us, okay? Join us here, share this live, okay? Tag your friends in, and also we have a pump up session. Yeah, I'm aware that we have a pump up session, okay? So at this time, please make sure you share, you tag your friends in before we officially start our second part. Okay, get your friends in. Let's do some stretching, some exercise here together. Let's move it together with our coach. So let's take a look again. If you're already here in our second live, okay, let me know in the comment box here. Everyone type 2, okay, the number 2, because this is the part 2 of our Facebook live. Everyone type 2, okay. Share and like our Facebook live. Tag your friends in here as well, okay. Everyone tag your friends in here. We're already starting the second part of Facebook live. So if you are watching from the first part, we would like to get all of you right now, okay, from there to jump over, hop on to our second part of live. Okay, Siswa says 2, Tag You says 2, okay, who else here says 2, okay, type 2 in the comment box below, type 2 in the comment box below. So keep your comments coming in, let me know you guys are here, you guys are ready, okay. So earlier on in the first part, we have spoken to Kimberly, we have spoken to 3 co-founders, Audi 22. Audi is double 2. Okay, double is 02 now. Okay, so if you guys are ready, you're back here. Okay, I'm seeing that our audience is slowly increasing right now. Oh, thank you so much. Only today. Thank you. Okay, so are you guys all ready for the next session? Are we all ready to move it together, to move our body? Now, I know just now from our co-founder session, there's a lot of requests, right? There are a lot of requests from the floor asking our co-founder to dance. Am I right? You guys wanted them to dance. So I know you all want to dance as well, because when there is a demand, we would definitely supply it to all of you. So since you guys demanded that, okay, you guys wanted that, you all requested that. So now we're going to fulfill your request. Okay, we're going to fulfill your request. We're going to get Coach Josephine, which happens to be our co-founder as well, one of the co-founder, Coach Josephine Young, to join us here in our live for a pump up session. Okay, for a pump up session. Everyone type pump up. Pump up. Double ready. I think every day is ready. Thank you so much. Okay, so everyone type pump up right now, because we're gonna fulfill we're gonna make your dreams come true, your request, you see, right? Whatever your request is, we're gonna make it come true. So if you want the co-founder to dance, right now we've got our co-founder Josephine. She's ready to dance here. She's ready to pump up with everyone. Okay, so quick one about Josephine, okay? Josephine, she's the first and only female to be awarded the IFBB Pro in Malaysia. She's a certified body transformation and physics specialist, certified precision nutrition coach, and a certified Pilates instructor. Are you guys ready to move it together? Pump up together with Coach Josephine Young.
Hello everyone, it's me again. Okay, let's get off your chair. We're going to do some exercises together, alright? Let's come up, stand up, and we're going to have our conversation together. Ready? We're going to take a deep breath and then relax. Take a deep breath first and then down. Okay, and then relax one more time and breathe in and then breathe out. Good. Now when you push your head to the front, push towards your computer or your laptop in front. Push, just work on your hands a little bit. And push, and push. 4, 3, 2. Now push aside, push, and then push. Good. Yes, keep moving together with me. Push aside, nice and easy. Good. up to ceiling, go up, up, and up, and up, and up. Good, very nice, keep going, 4, 8 count. Up, and up, and up, and 4, 3, 2, and then 1. Now with your hands out, press your hands to the back, okay? Press. Imagine you want to hit the wall at the back. Push, 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 good, push, push, push. Keep moving. Open up your chest. When you push to the back, hit the wall. 4, 3, 2. Very nice. Come back to the center. I want you to run, run. Let's go for nice and so easy jog first. Alright? Now slowly, we're going to speed up. We're going to run faster. And then faster. As fast as you can. Keep running. Keep running. To get your heart rate up. Everybody keep running. And run. Now we can all with the hand and then downward. But you still run. You're still running, okay? Good. And keep running. Keep running. 2 more. And then 1 last one. And then relax and then down. Lift your hands up. I want you to hit your knee to your palm. Go hit, hit, right, left, faster, right, left, hit, and hit. So we're going to go up as high as possible, okay? Lift up, and then 4, and 3, 2, let's go faster, go, left. If you can't go fast, this is the easy version, okay? Let's go, keep going. Keep it up, 3, 2, and 1. Alright. Let's take a breather. Deep breath in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And then breathe out. One more time. And then breathe out. Last one. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Alright, nice and easy. We're going to lift your right hand up. Oh, drop it down to the floor. Left hand up. Drop it down to the floor. Alright? Go right and then down, and then left and down, right and down, last one, down. And that's it for this session of pump up session. Alright, see you next.
Thank you so much, Jo. Thank you, Jojo. Please follow her, like her in her social media account, which is the Instagram and Facebook account. We actually inserted in the banner down below. Hello, guys. Do you like my new background? See, I'm able to be together with all of them right now. I hope I don't block them. Okay, I have to hunch a little bit. I'm worried that I'm blocking them right now. Can you all see them? Okay, wait. Okay. Okay, who do you spot in the photo? Who do you guys see in the photo here? Let me know who do you guys see in the photo. In the comment box below, let me know who do you spot. Okay, I'm trying to be as small size as I can. But I still have to read your comments. So, wow, this is such a big team, right? Because today's team, guys, remember it is to take photo with your friends and with your family members. So if you're at home right now, you can take this opportunity to take a selfie with your family members, upload it into your social media account, hashtag us, okay, hashtag 100x Summit. And right now, okay, I'm with a bunch of friends here. Yay! Okay, let me just hug them virtually. Okay, I'll be blocking Zoe's face. Okay, I'm trying to okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, let me know, who do you spot here? Yes, they all look so lovely, Dixon say. Hello everyone. Okay, oops, I'm blocking. I'm really blocking someone. Okay, yeah, who else you spot? Jackie, hashtag 100x Summit. That's right, hashtag 100x Summit. Okay, take a photo. Take a photo if you want. You can take a screenshot right now. You want to do a selfie together with this, you can get everyone here. You can get everyone here. Jackie says, can I screenshot this to put as my submission today? Can. Okay, let me adjust myself first. Okay, okay, don't worry. Yeah, let me sit properly on my spot. Okay, yeah, 3, 2, 1, screenshot. Okay, I hope you did that. Okay, that was a quick one. Okay, you can do the screenshot. Okay, Jackie, you stole my line. All right, I think we are all ready. Okay, so please remember to do the selfie check-in. Continue to tag your friends. Share this Facebook Live out there. Okay, everyone right now, please tag 5 friends coming in. Okay, tag 5 of your friends come in here to our Facebook Live, okay? Tag all the entrepreneurs that you know, or people who loves to listen to podcasts or wish to start their own podcast channel. Tag them in right now, okay? Tag them in right now. Tag them to our Facebook Live right now. Leave their names in at the comment box below. Share this Facebook Live to at least 5 public groups. Tag 5 friends in. That's right. You can see all the thing in the instructions are in the banner below. Okay, you can see it. Now, podcasting, I know it has become a trend, especially since our lockdown last year in Malaysia, in our MCO. It has become a trend. People start to tune into podcasts. It has been a thing. Actually, it has been a thing for some time already. Just that during our lockdown period, many actually tends to turn on to podcasts, okay, start to listen to podcasts. So I think there has been a trend. There's been more and more podcasts that came out during our lockdown period in Malaysia last year. So podcasting, it can be one of the ways, and it can be also a powerful way for you to reach out, to connect with your audience and let them know what you are working on. There are a lot of great opportunities when it comes to podcasting. And in this session here today, the speaker here would like to share with all of you his experience on podcasting, especially for entrepreneurs. His topic here today, podcasting for entrepreneurs, the good, the bad, and the opportunities in it. So what are the opportunities that we can see? What are the downside in podcasting? Okay, a brief background about Vince. Vince Warnock is an award-winning business and marketing strategist, coach, author, and host of the Chasing the Insights podcast. With over 20 years in the marketing and technology industry, Vince is an ex-radio announcer and previously the Chief Marketing Officer at Signal Life Insurance, as well as co-founder of high-growth tech startup Common Ledger. Vince now focuses on his passion, which is to empower entrepreneurs to find their voice, tell their story, and generate quality connections with potential clients. A sought-after public speaker, Vince has been recognized by his peers with numerous awards, including being named a Fearless 50, a program designed to recognize the top 50 marketers in the world who are driving bold, fearless marketing and digital transformation. Please join me to welcome Vince Warnock.
Hey guys, just dropping in here to introduce myself. I'm Vince Warnock. I'm the host of the Chasing the Insights podcast. I'm an author, a marketing strategist, and a marketing coach. And I'm very proud to announce I'm going to be speaking at the 100X Entrepreneurs Summit. I'm going to be talking all things podcasting, the highs, the lows, and most importantly, the opportunities that are there for you as an entrepreneur, the doors that will open, and of course, the opportunities to be able to grow your business. So I would love it if you guys could rush out right now, go and grab your tickets and join me at the 100X Entrepreneur Summit.
All right, are you guys ready? Please put your hands together, type his name out in the comment box below. Join me to welcome Vince Warnock.
Hey. That's got to be one of the best introductions ever, seriously. Guys, I got so excited with all the pump-up session and taking the selfies. I'm here on my own. I'm in the office. So I thought instead of taking a selfie with my crew, with my gang, with my family and things like that, I would just introduce you to my little baby Yoda, my Grogu, who keeps me company in the office when I'm here at weird hours of the day. Anyway, hey guys, really excited to be here. Thank you all for coming and joining me. As I said, we're going to be talking about all things podcast. Hey Audi, hey Jackie, hey Wei. I'm going to stuff up most of your names here. I barely speak English, it seems. I keep stuffing up my own name. Hey Alfred, good to see you guys in here. Anyway, we are going to talk about all things podcasts, and most importantly, I'm going to be talking about the opportunities that are there for you as entrepreneurs. Now, first, one of the things you always have to do as an entrepreneur, of course, is give some really impressive stats. Because if you give stats, then everybody thinks you're more intelligent and they take you more seriously. So I just want to talk about why you should take podcasting seriously as an entrepreneur. And when you're building your business, why you should really look into podcasts. First of all, I tried to get a number of how many podcasts are actually out there. The estimates are around 1.75 million, but really nobody has a clear kind of sight of how many of them there are. But some of the things we do know, and I want you guys to do this for me. So put in the comments if you listen to podcasts, right? Put in the comments, or even just raise your, I can't actually see you physically, but just pretend for a moment, raise your hand if you've ever listened to a podcast. Now, I want to let you know that you're in good company. In fact, the stats I have, they're all American-based stats, sorry guys, but the American stats show that 55% of Americans have listened to a podcast. That's in 2020, and that was up from 51% in 2019, which means podcasting is becoming more and more popular. The other thing to note there is if your target market is the higher socioeconomic, then guess what, guys? If you look at the general population in the US, it's about 35% of them earn over $75,000. However, 45% of podcast listeners or monthly podcast listeners earn over $75,000, which means it's skewed towards the higher socioeconomic brackets. The other thing to note is that 24% of Americans, that works out around, I think about 68 million Americans, listen to podcasts every single week. That is a lot of people consuming a lot of content. And the good news is, even though this is the American stats, this kind of translates to most countries. I know in New Zealand we have very similar percentages. I think in Malaysia as well, very similar percentages to the US. Now, the other thing to note here is that podcast listeners listen to an average of 7 different shows per week, which is up from 5 back in 2017. And 80% of listeners listen to a full episode. Now, the reason I was highlighting these stats to you, and the reason I was letting you know about that, we got raised my hand, raised hands and legs. Guys, this is exciting. The reason I wanted to highlight those stats to you is for a very important reason. A lot of people are consuming a lot of content. So essentially, as I said, if 80% of the people that listen to podcasts listen to a full episode, compare that to the amount of people that that watch a full YouTube video. Right, with YouTube videos, we know if you've ever put a YouTube video up, and let me know in the comments if you've actually ever put a YouTube video up on YouTube for your business. One of the things you'll see is that after 5 seconds, there's a big drop off. After about 30 seconds, 2 minutes, depending on how long your video, you will see the drop off in listeners. They very rarely get to the end. It's a small percentage get the end of a YouTube video. However, 80% of listeners of a podcast will listen to the entire piece of content, which means you have a very captive audience. Now, if you've got a captive audience and you've got 24%, so 68% of Americans, so 24%, imagine 24% of Malaysians, 24% of Australasians as well, listening to podcasts every single week, and they listen to 7 different shows per week, that is a lot of content that all of these people are listening to. So for a moment, I want you guys to just do something for me. I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine that it's your content that they're consuming. So whatever business you're building, whatever thing you're trying to birth into the world, whatever thing you're trying to build, imagine if it was content about that or content about you as an entrepreneur that they were listening to, that 80% of them listen to all the way through. It means you have a captive audience ready to listen to your content. Now, the other thing to note is these are stats as of now. So as we are here, we're in, what month are we in? January 2021. I'm losing track of time here. Time has no relevance anymore, does it? It's crazy. But if you look, we're in 2021. And at the moment, those were the stats that kind of reflect the nature of where we're at. And at the moment, you can listen to podcasts on so many different platforms. The main ones, of course, being Apple, which make up the majority of podcast listeners. And there's a very good reason for that too, by the way. I don't know why I was looking at my desk here. I don't actually own an iPhone. I've got an iPad here, but I'm not going to hold that up. But if I had an iPhone, there's a very good reason that most people listen to Apple podcasts, podcasts on Apple. And that's because the iPhone makes it incredibly easy. It's built into the phone itself. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to load a separate app or anything like that. So that's why around 45% of podcasts are listened to on Apple iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Then you have the second place, which is Spotify. That's where I listen to most of my podcasts. So Spotify makes it the second place. And you got Stitcher and you got iHeartRadio and all these other kind of things that are out there as well. So that's the kind of current landscape. But there is some significant changes coming. First of all, Amazon. So Amazon own Audible. Audible now puts podcasts on the Audible platform. Now they're trialing this in different countries around the world. So as soon as this becomes mainstream, that means it's going to be even more accessible to listeners, to all the Audible audience that's out there. But even more powerful than that, you've got other networks like Ghana, which is an Indian network. In fact, once Ghana went live, someone says, "Oh, you like my headphones?" These are very cool headphones, by the way. They're ATG M50Xs. Highly, highly recommend them. And I say that because it's relevant to the show right now, or relevant to this session right now, because wearing headphones is one of the pieces of advice I'm going to give you. But anyway, so one of the things I'm saying here is, the Ghana, once I launched my podcast on Ghana, so I opened it up to the Ghana network, India has actually become the third highest market for me as a podcast host, which is something I never thought of. I didn't realize I had an audience there in India. I didn't realize that they were hanging out to get content from entrepreneurs and marketers and salespeople, etc. So that's kind of some of the new opportunities, but there's an even bigger one on the horizon. And this is why now is the right time to get into podcasting, either being a guest on a podcast or hosting your own podcast. And that's because one of the biggest players in the world, Google, happened to be about to launch, or they've launched Google Podcasts. So this is their podcast platform. It's not available in every country right now. I know it's not available in New Zealand, but I know that the US market is listening to my podcast on Google Podcasts. The reason that this is very exciting is because I'm an Android user. I have my Android phone. I shouldn't have picked up my phone because then it notifies me of things. I'm an Android user, and at the moment, I have to use Spotify or Stitcher or iHeartRadio or one of these kind of platforms to be able to listen to podcasts, because obviously I don't have Apple Podcasts. So there's no native built-in application for podcasts on an Android phone. However, it's coming. The fact that Google are serious about podcasts, the fact that they've brought in the Google Podcast Network means that they are getting ready to launch a native app built into Android. This will make podcasts even more accessible to the masses. It'll make it easier than ever before for people to listen to it. So the opportunity as content creators, the opportunity as entrepreneurs is rife. Like, now is the time to get into this. So I'm going to cover off in this session. So this is why I think being on podcasts is really, really important right now. And before we get into the rest of the content, the other thing to note here, by the way, is podcasts are a fantastic way to position yourself as a thought leader. It's similar to when you write a book. When you're an author, a published author, and you say to other people that you're a published author, they take you more seriously. The same as when you're a podcast host. They're like, hey, you're a podcast host. You obviously must have something to say. Obviously, people want to hear your content. They want to hear from you. So therefore, I should pay attention to you. So it's just one of those weird kind of things as human beings that we put any authors or podcast hosts or anything like that, or speakers at conferences, we put them up on this platform and think that they have something more important to say than everybody else. It's not necessarily true. It just means that we've taken the effort to actually do this. So you guys can cash in on that as well. You can position yourself as a thought leader in your industry, which is one of the easiest ways as an entrepreneur to build trust with your audience. So anyway, so I want to go on to a couple of kind of key things in this session here. And the first is I'm going to talk to you guys about being a guest on a podcast, getting featured on other people's podcasts. Because launching a podcast is not for all of you. I'm very aware of this. Some of you will not have the time. You will not have the scope. It's not really fitting with what you're trying to do with your companies, with your businesses. But I want to make it as simple as possible for you to get featured on those. So I'm going to give you some advice around that, about how to get featured on a podcast, and then how to be a great guest. Trust me, you'll want to pay attention to that. Great guests get asked back. Right, I've been on podcasts before. I've been on many different podcasts, featured on them, and then they ask me back. Whenever they have a topic that they know I'm an expert on, funny enough, I'm back on their podcast. It's because I go the extra mile to be a great guest. So, and then after that, I'm going to go into how to start your own podcast, some of the key things you need to look at, and some of the insider tips that they don't teach you. Whenever you're watching YouTube videos about doing a podcast, they never teach you some of this stuff. So I'm going to actually give you some of that advice. So if you're serious about starting your own podcast, you can hit the ground running. And to give you a little bit of background as to why I'm talking about podcasts and why I'm talking about all this, as you heard in my intro, I'm an ex-radio announcer. I worked for a number of years on one of our top radio stations here in New Zealand, More FM, as one of their announcers. And I loved radio. Ever since I was 7 years old, I built a crystal radio set, and that was going to be, like, honestly, this was the thing that consumed me. I built this crystal radio. I would listen to it every night. And I would listen to these DJs, and I would think, oh my goodness, this is the dream job. These guys get paid to listen to music, like play music to all of you, to hang out with cool people, to interact with you as audience, and just have fun. So I thought, this must be the best job in the world. So many years later, I went through different career changes. I'm actually trained as an electronic and computer engineer, went into a software engineer, audio engineer, did all sorts of different things, and then finally ended up in marketing and discovered I was really, really good at digital marketing. But during all of that and working on radio, I discovered something else. Radio is a dream job. It is one that I enjoyed immensely, except for one element of it, which was the lack of pay, because radio pays so poorly. So at some point, I knew when I was trying to build my own business and at the same time trying to work on radio, one of them had to give, and unfortunately it was the one that paid very poorly. So I gave up radio, but I've always had this passion to get back on the airwaves, to be able to do something. So I wanted to launch a podcast for a number of years. This is my new kind of radio. Now, 2020 came around, and up until 2020, I was the Chief Marketing Officer at Cigna. I had just created and sold one of my companies, Common Ledger, and then I joined the team at Cigna for around 4.5, 5 years, and was Chief Marketing Officer there. And one of the things that happened was I started to feel this pull. I wanted to get out of this corporate environment again. I wanted to get back into birthing something for myself. And in doing so, I got this urge to create the podcast. So August of last year, I launched the Chasing the Insights podcast. And all of the tips and the stuff I'm going to take you through is stuff that I've learned through that journey. Now, one of the things I set for myself as a target, I said, if I'm going to launch a podcast, I'm a digital marketer, guys. So if I'm launching a podcast, you bet I'm going to try and work out where I want to be. So I set to myself some quarterly targets. I said at the end of 3 months, I want to be at a certain level. And I didn't know what that level would be. I thought, right, how do you calculate this? So I looked at what vanity metrics were out there, and these are all just vanity metrics. But Libsyn had a whole pile of stats, as did Buzzsprout, talking about the top 50% of podcasts. And essentially, if you could get over a certain number of average downloads per episode, you were then in the top 50% of podcasts. Now, in reality, that means nothing. Like, seriously, being in the top 50%, you don't get an award for that. You don't get a trophy. You don't get a medal, anything like that. So for me, it was just something to aim for. What I didn't anticipate was, instead of hitting that target, I 15x'd that target. I was 15 times what I had aimed for, which means two things. Number one, anybody who tells you podcast is dead or podcasting is dead is wrong. Anybody who tells you it's a saturated market and you can't get traction in there is completely wrong. But it also means I really, really suck at forecasting, and discovered, which is a little bit depressing when you're a digital marketer, but hey, it's a good problem to have. But anyway, so I want to give you guys some of this advice. So first up, we're going to talk about getting featured on other people's podcasts. Now, there's some key tips I'm going to give to you in here, and I really want you to pay attention to these. The first of these is you need to, before you even look at being on a podcast, you need to take time, spend some time researching. You need to find your target audience and find what podcast they're listening to. Don't just go out on anybody's podcast. Don't water down your message just by going on, like if you are building a fitness app or a company that works in the fitness space, don't suddenly go out on a financial blogging podcast or a financial podcast. You need to find where your audience are and serve them there. So do your research on that. And one of the easiest ways to do this is take your current customers and ask them what podcasts they listen to. If you've got a Facebook group or LinkedIn, or you've got somewhere where your audience is, just reach out to them. Don't have to do a poll or anything like that. Just go in there and say, hey guys, I'm looking to listen to some new podcasts. What do you guys listen to? And you'll get a mixture in there. You'll get stuff that's relevant for their job. That's the piece you need to pay attention. You'll probably get some comedy shows because it's very popular on podcasts. You might get some crime dramas. You don't want to start that for your business. Although it's really entertaining, it's not really going to add any value to you as a thought leader, that's for sure. Unless, by the way, you're actually in the business of solving crimes, just saying. So do the research, find out what they're listening to, and then you need to take some time to listen to those podcasts. You need to almost get to know the host. You need to get to know the type of content they've got. Take notes down. It is a bit of work, but it does pay off. So then you want to know how you're going to add value to that podcast audience. You'll basically get a list of podcasts where you're going, okay, these are the ones that my audience listen to. These are the ones that are relevant for me that my own audience listen to. And these are the ones that kind of fit my style and everything. And then you want to know what value you're going to add to them. If I'm going on a podcast, one of the things I do is I will listen to previous episodes. So a good example is Kinsey Mackis. Kinsey has become a very good friend of mine, but I reached out to her to be on her podcast. She runs the Launch It Girl podcast. So straight away, I would have ignored that because I'm not a girl. I can wear a dress, but apparently that's not socially acceptable. So I went, okay, maybe I'm not going to do that. But I thought, I listened to her episodes, and it's a very good podcast, by the way. I listened to the episodes, and on there, she talks about things like imposter syndrome. And she talks to her audience about that, and also about the aspects of marketing. And there are certain things in there I could see she scratched the surface on, but really she doesn't dig too deeply because she's not an expert in that space. So I made a note of that. When I reached out to Kinsey, I said, look, I would love to have a chat with you about being on your podcast. This is who I am, but this is what I can add value to your audience about. I heard you talking about imposter syndrome. This is a subject that I'm very familiar with. I speak on all the time, and I think this will be very valuable for your audience. So immediately, I'm not just going in there going, hey, I'm someone important that you should listen to. Nobody cares about that. Believe it or not, it's one of those weird things. Nobody cares about you personally. Like, they don't care if you've got a PhD. They don't care if you've had 100 years in business. They don't care how many companies you build. In reality, they care about their audience. As a podcast host, that is my primary thing. I want to make sure anyone on my show is going to add value to my listeners. So that's how I reached out to Kinsey and said, hey, I would love to be on your show. I heard you talking about imposter syndrome. This is something I speak on a lot. I'm actually currently writing a book on imposter syndrome. I would love to share with your audience if you're open to it. Then we jumped on a Zoom call. And this is very important. I will always do this. If anyone approaches me to be on my show, I will make sure I jump on a Zoom call with them first. And that's because, it's not because I want to make sure they're a real human being and I'm not being trolled or anything. It's because I want to know that there's a rapport between me and the guest, or in your case, between you as a guest and the host. You want to make sure that the two of you are actually going to connect and gel on the air, on the show. And there's a reason for this. Full disclosure, there's a podcast episode I recorded that will never ever go to air. And the reason for that is because I bypassed my own process. I thought, right, I always want to jump on a call with people. Unfortunately, in this case, we ended up with some scheduling conflicts, and this guy had approached me and he said, look, I'd love to be on your show. His credentials looked fine, right? It looked like he would be a good fit on paper, but we couldn't get time to do the Zoom call. So I thought, you know what? We will just go ahead, book the time, and record the episode. Now, luckily, I don't do my episodes live. I pre-record all of them, and I highly recommend, by the way, when you're starting out, that's a great way to do it. But I jumped on this call with him, we hit record, and it was a disaster. There was no rapport between him and I. He had no emotional EQ or anything. So therefore, him and I really couldn't connect. I found it really struggling. And then also at the end, I always ask the same question of all my guests. I always ask them, what are the 3 practical tips they would advise any entrepreneur listening to the show? What are the 3 practical things they can do to move the needle for their company? And the advice he gave was, it was not only weak, it was wrong. I listened to that and I just went, oh my goodness, you have lost all credibility to me. I didn't say that to him, but I just thought, I don't even know how to turn this around as an episode. I do not want this on my show. This is going to make me look bad. It's going to be bad advice for my customers, for my audience, and I do not want them hearing it. So it would never go to air. So it's really important to know that you've got a rapport with the host. And then once you've approached them, you've highlighted to them how you can add value to their audience. You've given them the topics that you want to speak on. You know you've got a rapport with them. Then you work in, and they say yes to you. You need to work on being a great guest. And there's some very quick tips I want to give you before we get into how to do your own podcast. If you are going on somebody's podcast, you're going on a show, there are certain things you need to do. First of all, before the recording, before the show, ask the host about 2 things. Ask them about the questions that they're going to ask you. So you want to know what those questions are, but also you want to ask them if it's okay to do self-promotion, right? Because not all podcast hosts will allow you to promote on their channel or on their show. So you want to be very, very clear with them about that. And if they don't allow you to promote, to self-promote on the show, ask them if it's okay to give away something to their audience. It might be a guide that relates to the topic you're talking about. It might be a piece of content that digs in even deeper than what you're talking about on the show, or it might be a freebie that relates to it in some way. So ask if it's okay, and then that can become your self-promotion in there. But it's really important to get those things out the way up front, because you do not want to do this during the recording and then put the host in an awkward position. The other things you need to do, and this one should just be common sense, as an entrepreneur you should be doing this with everybody anyway, but you need to be on time. Do not turn up late to a podcast. Do not miscommunicate to them. Just make sure you're treating the host with respect, because they are giving up their time to have you on the show. It is an opportunity for you. So make sure you are taking that very, very seriously. The other thing to do is, and this is going to sound quite biased actually, because I am a host of a podcast, so it's going to sound like I just like people talking well about me, but give what we call props to the host. Like, make sure you're giving credit to the host on the show. When I was on Kinsey's show, I made sure on air I talked about the fact that actually I'm a huge fan of yours, Kinsey. I love your podcast. I'm a listener. I'm a regular listener of your show, but I also love the work that you do with entrepreneurs. I see it in this and this and this. So you make sure that you give them credit and give them, some, I don't even know the term. Talk them up a bit. That's the one. Talk them up. Because not only does that make sure that they're positioned well with their audience, but also they're more inclined to want to get you back on the show. Because guess what? We're all human beings. We quite like it when people speak highly of us. Now, the other thing to note is once you've done this, you've kind of worked with the host to what are the questions, worked out the mutual beneficial things of the show, like what can you give away to their audience, if you're allowed to self-promote in that. You've taught them up on the show, you're on time. Make sure afterwards you share that episode on all of your social channels, right? There's this tendency as entrepreneurs to think, well, I'm going to be on this show, then they're going to promote it out there and everyone will hear about me. This goes two ways. There must be a mutual beneficial thing here. So you need to be promoting their show through your networks. And that does two things. Number one, it endears you towards the host, so they're more likely to get you back on the show. They know that when you're on the show, you're going to work hard. There's this mutual beneficial relationship. But the other thing is going to happen is people are going to know you're on a podcast. And as I said earlier, that's, when it comes to thought leadership, people will take you seriously if you're a guest on other people's shows. They will think, well, there must be a reason that Kinsey wanted Vince on his show. He must be an expert in what he's talking about. So that's really important. So guys, that is the kind of keys to being a great guest and how to get features on other people's podcasts. The other thing too, I would throw out there is just ask. Honestly, sometimes we get so caught up in how do we get in touch with the right person. I need to almost take them through a sales process. But actually, sometimes it's just about reaching out and, like I said, going, hey, I would love to talk to you about being a guest on your show. I blah, blah, blah. Like I've done my research. This is the topics I want to talk on. I noticed you talked about, like I explained before, actually going out and asking them. You will be surprised how many times they say yes. You will get turned down, but that's nothing personal. It's just that you may not fit what they're doing, or they may be heading the show in a different direction or around different topics. So don't be offended about that at all. So anyway, guys, now I want to get on to this whole concept of starting your own podcast. And this, honestly, is really exciting. If it is something that fits with you, if it's something where you think it's going to be good for your business, I would highly encourage you to do it. Right, I knew when I went into doing podcasting, it was kind of a passion project for me. I thought, right, like I said, I'm a huge fan of radio. I used to work on radio, and this is kind of like new radio for me now. So I thought this is going to be something that I know I'm going to really, really enjoy. I also knew that this was going to be a big opportunity to position myself as a thought leader and to grow my audience, to grow my leads. And by the way, all of those things have come true. But the thing I didn't count on was A, the impact it would have on people, and B, was the relationships that I would form with the guests that I have on my show. In fact, some of the guests I've had on my show have now become very, very good friends of mine. In fact, the Kinsey that I spoke about before, I've had her on my show. She's speaking at my summit next week. She spoke at my last summit as well. We did collaborations. I teach her her course, like her academy. I teach them certain topics and vice versa as well. So you form these really strong relationships with other entrepreneurs, and trust me, those are incredibly valuable. Those are the relationships that when you're hitting the wall and you're having a really hard time, they're the ones that are going to sustain you and keep you going. So there's a lot of benefits to being on to having your own podcast. So how do we go about doing that? How do you set about creating your own podcast? Like, you've got the bug, you go, okay, that's it. I kind of understand this, Vince. I think a podcast would really, really fit with what we're doing. So now I need to think about how to launch my podcast. Here's some tips and tricks for you. First, number one, before you do anything, you need to do more research. I'm sorry, but it's all about research. So go out there, learn about your audience, learn about the angle that you want to take if this is going to resonate with them. Start to listen to other podcasts in your area and the speciality that you want or the angle you want to take. See what else is out there. See what you're competing with. And when I say competing with, it's not like there's a fixed audience that will only go to them or go to you. In a lot of cases, like I said, people listen to 7 shows. that could be the show that they primarily listen to, and then they start listening to your show as well. So don't treat it like it's just pure competition, but actually look at what they're doing, look at how they structure their episodes, look at what they tell you. For example, when I first started out, I made a bit of a mistake, if I'm honest with you guys. My early episodes, probably the first maybe 4 or 5 episodes, I made sure I asked people to leave a review. So when I did my housekeeping stuff at the beginning, I said, don't forget to subscribe to the show. Also, don't forget to leave us a review. I will read all of your reviews personally. The thing is, what I didn't realize is the audience don't really like that. They don't mind subscribing to the channel because they know they're going to get value out of consistently being notified when episodes go up. But asking them to go out and leave a review, it just felt a little bit forced. I also discovered, by the way, that reviews actually don't do anything. Like, seriously, they may convince someone to listen to your podcast, but in all reality, it won't. Apple certainly don't look at reviews when they're looking at how to recommend you. There was a myth that they were doing this, but actually it's about subscriber base. It's about how many average downloads you're getting. It's about those things more than whether or not you have reviews. Because Apple aren't silly. They know that you can game reviews. They know that you can go out there and do a marketing campaign and say, hey, I'll offer a prize to anyone who, go in the draw if you leave us a review. So they're very aware of that. So I gave up on the review side of things and made sure I didn't ask that. But the other thing is I noticed that the podcasts I listen to, not one of them actually asked you to do a review. So I'm like, why have I done this? Crazy. Anyway, so do your research, know your audience, know the angle you want to take, and then you get into some of the fun stuff. You get to choose the personality of your show. And by this, I mean, what is the format? So for me, for example, I wanted it to be very personal. I'm the type of person, I love building relationships with people. I love connecting with people. So I wanted that to come across in my podcast. So I made sure that when I'm doing it, it was going to be like a fireside chat. So it was like me sitting down. I want people to think of it like me sitting down with people that I like in the industry, people that are leaders in marketing and sales and entrepreneurship. I would sit down with them with a single malt scotch. And this is actually single malt scotch, but I can't drink it because I'm talking. It's unfair. It's tempting me on the table here. But I would sit down with a single malt scotch and have a chat with them about their journey, about the things that they've learned along the way, and the advice they would give to you as entrepreneurs. So I got to create the personality of my show. The funny thing about that, though, was that was initially what I decided it was going to be like single malt scotch. And I was even going to do as a bit of a gimmick, I was going to say, like, when you come on the show, let us know what you're drinking and we will have a drink together and cheers each other and all that kind of thing. But then I discovered that actually the majority of the guests I have on the show are based in the US or Canada. I'm in New Zealand. The time zone difference meant that most of my recordings is done at around 4 or 5 in the morning, or actually even sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's not socially acceptable to drink scotch at that hour, by the way, guys. So I thought maybe it's just me sitting down having a fireside chat with someone. So that's where that kind of personality comes in. You get to choose that. You can also choose doing a talking head style. And there are benefits to both of those. And by talking head, I mean like this, where it's just me talking to an audience, offering insights, offering wisdom and things like that. And both of these have their benefits, their ups and downs. So as a talking head episode, the benefit is obviously you're positioning yourself as the authority, as the thought leader, right? There is a downside though, and that is your reach is dependent on how people connect with you. So you have to rely on doing your own marketing, pushing it out there, getting the message out there about your show and constantly pushing it to grow your audience. Now, if you went on the way that I chose to do it, where you interview other people on your show regularly, like every episode, I do 2 episodes per week. They're about 30 to 40 minute shows. I do 2 episodes per week, and each of them are me interviewing guests. Now, the advantage of that is they do a lot of the marketing for you. Like I said, if you're a good guest on a show, you're going to push it through your networks, which means you're constantly, as a host, getting in front of new audiences, and you're building your audiences. That's why after 1 quarter, after 3 months, that's why I was 15 times what I had forecast. It worked far more effectively than I anticipated. But there's also a plus and a downside to doing the interview style thing. The downside is it's not as impactful as a thought leader in the sense that they're not seeing you as the authority. But there's an upside there, which is they see you associated with an authority. So if I'm getting people like George Bryant on my show, which he's coming up very, very soon. George Bryant is a leader in digital marketing. This guy is an absolute legend. He's somebody I look up to. He's coming on my show, which means when people listen to me interviewing him and us two bantering back and forward, They are mentally connecting him and me together, which means when they're thinking digital marketing, they're thinking George Bryant, and the guy that interviewed him, Vince Warnock. So you do get this brand authority. You do get this thought leadership position from doing those interview styles. Then you get on to the other question you've got to ask yourself is, do you record the audio only, or do you record video and audio, and what do you do with that? So personally for me, I like to, I did look at doing an audio only show, and there's services out there like Zencaster where you just basically can connect over a phone or over your computer. You don't see the other person. It's just a conversation back and forward. It records the audio in very good quality, by the way. It's a really good program, a really good quality, but I don't get to see the other person. And I'm a very visual person. So I thought that's not how I like to operate. I want to be able to banter back and forward. I want that rapport between them and me. So I decided I was going to do all my recordings via Zoom. So I would interview these people. I would then take the audio of that. And by the way, if you're using Zoom for your recordings, it has a huge advantage because it saves each of the different speakers as a separate track. So when you're editing, it makes it a lot easier, especially as in one case, I had one of the speakers, one of the guests on my show, her audio was very, very quiet. So I got to go in post-production and just lift the audio levels of her track rather than my track. And it worked perfectly. So I do all of mine by Zoom, and that means I record the video as well. Now, obviously, I take the audio out and I use that for my podcast, but I can do something else with that video. I can either put that on YouTube, I can cut it up, take segments of it and use that for the promotion. I can take segments of it and put it up as little mini episodes on YouTube. Or in my case, what I do is I have what I call an insider club. It's a way to kind of monetize. I don't have any advertising on my show. I refuse to have advertising on there. So what I do instead is I have a way for people to support the show. And that is by basically paying $10 US per month, and they get access to a members area on my website where they get exclusive content. So they get the video versions of all the podcasts, and so for some people that resonates a lot better than just audio. But also they get additional content from each of the speakers. So each of the speakers does an extra couple of little segments where they teach a principle, they teach something else to them. So this is really, really important. So I take the video and I put it into that channel. So you get to choose what to do there, video, audio, or both. So then we get to the next stage of setting up your own podcast, and that is the bit that will do your head in if you're not technical, but also if you are technical, could end up being a rabbit hole that you don't come out of, and that is all of the equipment that you need. And the reason I say that is one of the things that made me procrastinate more and more about setting up my own podcast was the fact that I thought the audio had to be absolutely perfect. I thought, being an audio engineer especially, I thought I have to have soundproofing everywhere. I could have acoustic tiles all over my office. I needed the latest, greatest microphones and noise dampening things, all these kind of things. So I thought I had to have the best gear ever. But in all reality, all you need to start a podcast is your phone. Right? That's all you need. Oh, accidentally showed you guys that I have a Jedi wallpaper on my phone. Yes, giant Star Wars nerd. Anyway, So I thought, right, if you want to start a podcast, you can start a podcast on your phone. But then if you want to take it a bit more seriously, like seriously, your phone with some AirPods or your phone with a good headset is good enough to actually put a good quality podcast out there. But then you can take it to the next level. And I just want to cover off some of the key gear that you need to look at. First of all is the microphone itself. So I'm going to give you guys, I'm moving my microphone slightly out the way here. There are different types of microphone depending on what you want to do. So one of the things is this thing here. It's called a lavalier or a lapel microphone. So this is the kind of microphone that sits here. You pin it to yourself. You see it on the news all the time. You see it on when they're doing interviews. This is really useful if you're intending on moving around a lot with your podcast. So one of my good friends, she runs a cooking channel. So she turns that into YouTube videos, but also takes the audio and puts it onto a podcast. But for her, obviously, when you're cooking, you're moving around. Having a static microphone sitting there means that as you get further away, it gets quieter. And as you get closer, it gets louder. So you lose the quality of the audio. So pinning something to yourself here works really, really well. And if you are going to look at getting a lapel mic, by the way, I'm not sponsored by any of these things, by the way. I'm not paid by anyone here. I don't have Amazon affiliate links. These are just products that I really, really like. This is the Boya B1, M1 or something rather, but it's the Boya M1. It's about $20 on Amazon. The quality of this is fantastic. Now, the key thing here is make sure that the microphone is about 8 inches away from your chin. If it's too high, every time you turn around or turn your head, the audio will cut out. or it'll get really, really quiet. If it's too low, then it'll be struggling to get a good volume level, and you'll hear all the background noise and everything as well. So I've got a moth in here, crazy. So make sure it's about 8 inches away from you. Make sure you apply it to the outside of your clothing, not underneath. Make sure you don't have necklaces, anything that's tapping it over the top, because you will hear that noise. So that is the lapel mic, really useful if you're moving around. The next thing is this thing here. This is called a shotgun microphone. And this one is the Rode Mini Micro. Again, this is actually relatively cheap. It's a very good quality shotgun microphone. You can use this on cameras, so like on DSLR cameras, but also just you can plug it directly into your phone. You can get adapters for the iPhone, things like that you plug in. It comes complete with this thing here, which is a shock mount. It's not just something pretty. This is a shock mount that means if it moves around, if it bumps, you won't get that vibrating through the microphone itself. But the reason this is really useful, where it's really useful, is if you are doing interviews with people. So if I was sitting here with somebody else, directly here with me, I would have this pointing at us. So you can put it a bit further away, and it will capture all of the sound and the direction that it's pointing. So this is really useful for those scenarios. It's also very useful outside if you've got a roving camera kind of scenario, or if you're out at an event and you want this to be streamed to your podcast and you're interviewing people and that, you can walk around and hold this up to them and get their audio. It also comes with, and I'll talk about these a bit more, it comes with this. It's not a tribble if you're a Star Trek fan. It's actually a windsock that goes on top of that here, so it cuts out a lot of the wind noise and things. So super useful, and again, relatively inexpensive. Then we get into the third type, or the last type of microphone I want to talk about, which is the dynamic microphones. And yes, this is a gold microphone. I'm not some kind of Las Vegas singer. It just happened that somebody gave this to me as a present, and it's gold. And this was a good example, so don't judge me on this, guys. But essentially, this is a dynamic microphone. It is a non-USB one, which means it needs a special cable, and any dynamic microphone that's non-USB needs a separate little box. I don't actually have one here at the moment to show you, but it's like a little preamp that you plug it into, and that ensures you get the right volume levels and the right quality there. Now, the key thing with this is it needs to be about 2 fingers away from your mouth. So the closer to your mouth, the better. So it's very limiting. It is right up close to you. By the way, I'm just holding it like that. Don't ever cup a microphone like that when it's actually active. Also, by the way, I'm a sound guy. Don't ever do the tapping the microphone going, is it on? Is it on? These diaphragms in here can get damaged very easily. And as a sound guy, you just want to go up and go bang, bang, bang on the head. Is it on? Is it on? But anyway, so these are the dynamic microphones. But the one I prefer, the dynamic microphone I prefer, is a USB version. And if you can get a USB mic and you get the QTU, so the Samsung QTU, I think it is, or I can't remember the name of it now. Hang on a minute. I can tell you it is... Samsung Q2U. I personally don't have that microphone, but it's a relatively inexpensive USB condenser mic, and it's very, very good quality. The one I'm using here, this is my favorite. It's a bit more expensive though. I've got another one here so I can show you. This is the Blue Yeti. And any of the Blue microphone range, so the Blue Snowball, Blue Yeti, work really, really well. But here's a trap for you. A lot of people think that because this is a microphone, they have to have it like that. With the Blue Yetis, these are actually different. They are like bi-directional ones. So having it so it's like this, pointing away from you and as close as possible to your mouth. I'm losing English here. As close as possible to your mouth means you get better quality sound. And there's a whole part, I won't go into the settings, but a whole pile of settings there for different things. Somebody's asked if I would recommend the Fifine mic. I'm actually not too sure about the Fifine mic. I haven't come across that. Jackie, it's the Samson, not Samsung Q2U. So SAMSON, Samson Q2U condenser microphone. A very good USB mic. And yes, the Blue Yeti, I love them. And the reason I love both of those two microphones is they're USB, which means they don't require additional power. You don't have to plug them into an extra box. But by the same token there, you can pretty much use the audio directly from your Blue Yeti or your Samsung Q2U. You can use it without having to do much post-production work at all. It actually sounds really, really good straight out of the box. When you plug it in USB in your laptop or in your computer, you get really good quality sound. So that's why I prefer the USB ones. I do recommend them to you. You do pay a bit more. Like with the Blue Yeti, you pay a lot more, but honestly, it is worth the investment. I happen to be a big fan of that personally. So that is the different types of microphones. You get to choose based on the scenario of how you're using it. Like I said, I like the USB microphone. I have this static setup here, and I do all my recordings by Zoom, so I have the microphone in front of me. But then you need to look at a couple of little accessories that make it really important. One of them is this boom arm. I highly recommend you getting a boom arm. And the reason for that is it just means that you can get the microphone closer to your mouth. You can get it as close as possible. But then you need one of these. These are cheap. It is the best investment you'll ever have for a microphone, and that is a shock mount. And basically what this does is the microphone goes in there, it goes into the shock mount, and if this is attached to a desk and you're tapping the desk, this minimizes the vibrations through the microphone, and it does a fantastic, like honestly, it's so noticeable how much background noise it cuts out immediately. The second I put the shock mount on there, all of the background noise disappeared. It was crazy. And then the other two things I would highly recommend, three things actually, a windsock. If you're the type of person that does a lot of or when you're talking, you'll notice I have a windsock on here, just a foam sock on top of the microphone. You can also use one of these. This is like a little cloth shield that goes in front of the microphone, and it reduces the amount of in your voice. Or as I showed you before as well, you can get the little tribble, the little one that goes onto the Rode micro, video micro. So how many microphones do I have in my room? Way more than this, by the way, because I do a lot of other stuff with video and things as well, and I'm just an audio junkie. But anyway, would you recommend to use a DAC for better quality sound? Is it necessary? Okay, it is better quality sound when you use a DAC. That's the little box I was talking about. It's like a preamp or like a DAC as well. However, pop filter. Thank you, Jackie. I couldn't remember the name of the little shield. It's a pop filter. Yes, I would recommend a DAC once you've got a certain level of experience. You don't need to start with one. I don't have one. I use a USB microphone, and my podcast is going great. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So then the other two things I really recommend here. One of them is you listen to the room you're in. If your room has hard floors or hard walls, so if it's got like marble or wood floors or wood walls and things like this, then you need something to dampen the sound, because basically a hard surface will cause the sound to vibrate off the walls, and it creates like an echo effect for you. So if you do have that scenario, if you've got hardwood floors, really simple solution to that, just throw some blankets on the floor. Just throw a rug or throw some blankets, something to absorb the sound. If you have hard walls and the sound's bouncing off them all the time, curtains are one of the best investments ever. You can see behind me, it's kind of open there, but there's a curtain there. See how it's got the folds in it? That absorbs a lot of the background noise. You can't see it, but behind my computer here is also a curtain that absorbs all that background noise. Or you can go the whole hog and actually get like audio acoustic tiles or like foam tiles. Or you can go really, really cheap, by the way. I know somebody, I'm quite serious about this, they do their podcast from inside a closet. So they've set up a little wee desk in the closet, and they sit in there and do their podcast, and they've covered the walls with egg cartons. So you know the egg cartons you get the eggs in? Well, tilt it so it looks like it's, the surface of the moon, stick those to the wall, and it absorbs all of the sound. And they actually get really good quality sound from that. For me, I like to be a bit more out in the open. I don't like claustrophobia, so that doesn't work for me. So soundproofing your room or looking at your physical environment around you is really important. But the next thing as well is just before you record, just before you go on air, I want you to make a fool of yourself. And what I mean by that is exactly what we did at the beginning of this before I started on here with doing the exercise and the moving around. You want to get your blood and your oxygen flowing, because it will actually come across in your voice. So make sure that you do some breathing exercises. I like to go and then and just do breathing exercises there before I go on air or before I do a recording. I like to wave my arms around and dance. My cat thinks I'm crazy because I do this early in the morning while the family's still asleep. The cat thinks I'm absolute mental. He just looks at me going, dude, seriously, there's something wrong with you. And I'm going waving my arms around, just getting the blood and the oxygen flowing. But the other thing too, and you'll notice I do this a lot, when I'm emphasizing my voice, I pull my chest out, I move my arms around, I animate myself. And it's because I want to open up my lungs and I want to be able to produce good quality sound from me. If I just sat there like this and just talked very monotone and didn't really project my voice at all, you would go to sleep listening to me, seriously. So I want to get myself energized and everything. So anyway, so that's the gear that you need. The next step to setting up your podcast is like you've chosen the theme, you've chosen the kind of atmosphere you want, the personality of your show, you've come up with a name for your show. You want to set up some graphics for your show. And I would highly recommend, by the way, there are some guidelines around graphics. So you have to set up 3000 by 3000 square. So 3000 pixels by 3000 pixels square. Whatever you're producing, make sure it doesn't exceed. So when you're saving it as a JPEG or a PNG, make sure it doesn't exceed half a megabyte. So 500K. Yeah, that's the one. 500K. So make sure it is no bigger than that, because otherwise you may not see that graphic on Apple. They may penalize it. The other thing there is I'm a big fan of actually having individual show notes, individual graphics, for each of your episodes. Now, this means a lot more work, and that's one of the downsides of podcasting, is the amount of work that it requires to do this. But when you're looking at somebody's feed on Spotify and you're looking at someone's feed on Apple and you see those individual graphics for each episode, it's compelling. It really does make you want to go in there and listen to those. Okay, someone's asked how to soundproof the room without installing soundproof foams. Curtains and blankets, or just surround yourself with blankets. I know people that just pin blankets up on the wall. That's a good way to soundproof your room. Is it advisable for podcasters to show their faces on screen to public, or doing without is just as fine? It really does. It depends on what you're trying to achieve with your podcast. If you want to be positioned as a thought leader, get your face there as much as possible. You want people to know it's you on there. They want to be able to identify you when you're on a sales meeting with them, or you're meeting them face to face, or you're getting them on a Zoom call. You want them to see, oh, that's the guy from the podcast or the girl from the podcast. So really important. Yes, thank you, Jackie. 3,000 by 3,000, 500K. So then we go into the hosting of the show, and you need to do your research here. Now, I'm not going to recommend, I can tell you who I'm hosted with, and I can tell you how I came to that, but I'm not going to recommend that to you because it's different for everybody. But I can tell you what to avoid and what the gotchas are there. So the first thing I did when looking for hosting for my podcast, you can go down a giant rabbit hole here. You can spend months trying to work out what will be the best host for you. But the reality is I started by going, let's look at the podcasts that I really like, the ones that I want to be like. So I looked at my Pat Flynn's, I looked at Amy Porterfield, some of the largest podcasts in the marketing space, and said, that's where I want to head. I want to be like this. And then I reverse engineered from there. It's relatively easy to find out what host that most of the podcasts are using, because they have a little interface, and when you click on it, it basically goes to a URL which has the host in there. So I found out these guys were using Libsyn, so I looked into Libsyn. It's relatively inexpensive, all the hosts are, and that became my choice. But I know that Buzzsprout and Simplecast and all these kind of ones are just as good as well, so you're not going to lose out depending on what you choose. But really, just do your research, reverse engineer what you're trying to build, and look at the features that you kind of need. Look at the different things you need. Don't get caught up in those, and I'll give you a very clear reason why. There's a host called Anchor, and a lot of podcasts are hosted on Anchor because it's free. But there are some downsides to that you need to be aware of. These are the gotchas when looking at different podcasting hosts. One of them is control of the IP. You do not own the IP on Anchor, right? There's a clause in there that says that they actually own all of the IP. So you've got to be very cautious about that. If you ever are approached by, I don't know, a TV station saying, I want to turn your podcast into a show, Anchor would turn up and go, thank you very much, we'll take that money. The other thing to note is privacy. I want to make sure the hosts I'm using aren't using advanced tracking of people. They're not overly putting cookies everywhere to try and find information from people. And then the other gotcha there as well is the ads. Can you actually control the ads that are going on there? Can you turn off ads altogether? And you can't do that on Anchor. So I steer well clear, and I do recommend people don't use Anchor. If you don't care about all those things, then it's great for you because it is free. You can put it out there. But the reality is all of the rest of the hosts are as good as each other in that sense. And then you need to, after the hosting setup, you need to then choose the software that you want. I use Zoom, as I said, but you can use StreamYard, you can use Zencastr. You can do it direct into your phone or your computer as well. You get to choose. And now I want to give you some of the tips when you are launching your podcast. These are some really important things. The first thing is, and this is really important to listen to, you want to create a teaser show, like just a 5-minute or 10-minute version of your show that talks about what you're going to do. And you need to get that up and running as early as possible, long before you actually launch your show. The reason for that is because part of the process is that you put that episode up on Libsyn or Buzzsprout or Crowdcast or whatever, put it up there, and then you apply to Apple. You apply to have your podcast on their show. And believe it, it's pretty simple. You just fill out a quick form online, and they will go through, review it, and they will listen to that teaser episode. You have to have an episode live for them to listen to. So they'll listen to that teaser episode and they will approve you. But that process can take, they say 24 to 48 hours. It took 2 weeks for me. Over Christmas, it took 2 months for some people. So just be very cautious of that. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time before your launch. The other thing too is don't start with an episode. Don't launch with one episode. You want to launch with a minimum of 3. And the reason for that is when I've listened to a podcast episode, I want to binge the other ones as well. If I really like it, I want to listen to a couple more. I want to know that it's going to be, this is something that's going to keep the quality up, etc. So make sure you launch with about 3 episodes, but also make sure you've got a pile of episodes there ready to go live that you haven't pushed public yet. And the reason for that is you do not want to fall into the trap where you're like, oh no, I need to do another podcast episode this week, but my mum's sick, or but I've got too much work on, or but the new Mandalorian series is out and I really want to binge watch it. These kind of things. So you want to make sure that you've given yourself enough leeway to get episodes ready in advance so you can push them live. The other thing I do personally, I didn't do this at the beginning. I did a lot of editing on my podcast episodes, but now I'm really lazy as a podcaster. I just do mine in one take. I keep the errors in there. If I make a mistake, I'll correct myself on there. I'll make a joke about it. I'll go, oh, well, I forgot English. That's embarrassing. Or well, I'm losing my words there. And we laugh, me and the guests laugh, etc. And the reason for that is because I can just take that audio file, put on my intro, put on my outro, save it as an MP3, bam, you're done. It's really, really simple. So those are kind of some of the things. You also need to look at whether you want to outsource your editing, outsource your marketing. All of these kind of things are options as well. But just to start out, you don't need to think too much about that. You just need to basically get the gear that you need. The minimum gear is fine. Record those few episodes. Get the teaser ready. Get it launched. Get it out there. Come up with your graphics and all this. Make sure you know what it is you're trying to build. And then get those episodes ready. And the other thing is just before you launch, or not even just before you launch, as soon as you think I'm going to start a podcast, you need to basically start marketing. You need to create a tribe around you, some people that will help you to promote it when it goes live. Because that, like I said, the reviews don't mean much. But when you launch, if you've got 100 people immediately listening to an episode, that is going to make Apple and Spotify and everybody else pay attention to your show. And you will find that you are recommended by them, which will cause a lot of organic growth as well. So make sure you got your tribe ready. Make sure you got a pile of people. Say we're launching on a specific date. Put it in people's calendars. Just set up Facebook events and LinkedIn events to let people know. Do a rollout marketing plan before you go live and get it all ready so that when you go live, you hit the ground running and you go, bam, I'm there, I'm done. So anyway, so the guys, that is, let's see, is there a maximum time for each episode? Really, that's up to you. I know podcasts that are 2 hours long. I won't listen to them personally, and that is part of what I mean by it's up to you. So I look at it and go, I listen to podcasts. Usually I'll drop my son off at school, and on the drive home, I'll listen to a podcast, which is around about half an hour. So if it's an hour-long one, I could probably split it into 2. But if it's like 45 minutes, it's really annoying to me because I'll listen to half an hour of the episode, and then I've got to try and go back in and listen to 15 minutes. So selfishly, I just wanted to create one that was half an hour long. So I do half an hour, 40 minutes max. That's the time that I do. Just basically whatever your preference is. I know people that do 15-minute episodes, 5-minute episodes in one case, and they get a lot of traction as well. So what other questions have we got here? We've got, if starting from scratch, besides following the rest of the popular podcasters on the direction, how do we stand out from the rest? That is a really good question. I think the key there is to know your audience, right? You want your personality to be the thing that makes you different from everybody else. I don't think you're ever going to come up with something unique around questions because that's all been done before. I've heard podcasts that all go, if you had $500 and the world was going to end in 3 days, what would you do with that money? And they think that's really clever. Most people listen to it go, I don't care. I ask the same question of everyone, which is what are the three practical tips that you would advise entrepreneurs to right now? Because I know that's going to add value to my audience. But really, I think the thing that makes you stand out from everyone else is being consistent, constantly turning up, knowing that it's a long game. Now, I've had some exponential growth very early on. It might not happen for you, but you need to keep at it. I know people that for a year, almost 2 years, they had like 50 people listening to each episode. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, they got recommended in Apple and it started getting more and more and more. And their numbers grew to 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 in one case. So it is a long game. You need to stick at it and you need to be consistent. Let's see. Share this Facebook Live to more people so they may benefit. Oh, okay, that's not for me. Gotcha. How do you come to find out about your podcast niche? Really, it's about knowing your audience. Again, I know I come back to this so many times, but you really need to know what you're offering to. It's who you are as an entrepreneur. So, for example, if you are running like I said, like a fitness app or a nutrition, if you're running a nutrition course and you're teaching people nutrition, then your niche will be around that nutrition. You don't really suddenly want to go in there and teach people how to knit. That will just feel wrong. So you want to make sure it is something that is directly targeted to your audience. Because remember, you've got to know why you're doing this podcast. Are you positioning yourself as a thought leader? If so, there needs to be some congruency between what you're talking about on your show and what do you want to be known for. But also, are you using it to generate leads? If you do that, then again, there needs to be that congruency between what your leads need, what your consumers need or your clients need, and what you're showing on the show. Let's see, what else we got? What platform would be best to go on a podcast? YouTube, Facebook, or those apps such as UpLive, etc.? Alfred, I think if we're talking about going like a pure podcast, you need to host it on a podcast platform. Because they take care of a lot of the aspects like the streaming aspects and things, which can be problematic if you're hosting it yourself. But also, like I said, if you're recording the video of this, if you decide that I want to do this as audio and video, then you can do whatever you want with that video content. You can put that on YouTube. You can put it on Facebook as a Facebook video. You can't really do it as a Facebook Live, unless you want to do a live show on Facebook and then stream that to a podcast as well. Basically, you get to choose how you use that content. Think about where your audience are, think about what they're consuming, and then push it through that. The other thing I would highly recommend, by the way, so on Libsyn, basically all of the different distribution channels, so whether that's Stitcher or Spotify or Apple or Audible or Google Play, Google Podcasts, all those kind of things, all of those are what we call destinations. So one of the things I would highly recommend is don't try and be selective around that. Push your podcast to every destination. There's no reason not to. And the reality is it just means more people are going to get access to your content, more people are going to position you as an authority, but also the more people that have access to your content and listen to it, the more chance you're going to be recommended to more people, so you'll get that exponential growth. How do you find your own audience? Because your customers buying your stuff may not be listening to a podcast. That's true, and that's where you've got to ask yourself the question, Jonah, is the podcast the right channel for me? So I would start by looking at your target audience, but not just your target audience, your ideal audience. So for example, if I was in the insurance space and I was looking at life insurance applications, I'm quite familiar with life insurance. If I was looking at life insurance clients, I wouldn't just choose all of the life insurance clients. I would pick the healthiest, the ones that are going to be with us for the longest term. I would pick them, and I'd pick the ones that will purchase everything online. So they're the easiest customers to convert. I would use those as a sample, and I would understand those deeply. I would interview them if I could. I would survey them. I would get in front of them. I would say, look, we will buy you a coffee if you give us some feedback, or we will put you in the draw to win something if you give us some genuine feedback about this. What podcasts are you listening to? What type of content do you listen to? What appeals to you about the podcast that you have? Ask some specific questions about this. So what kind of podcast platform would you recommend for a beginner? To be honest, they're not that difficult. Libsyn, for example, like I said, the largest podcast will seem to be hosted on Libsyn. So that can seem a little bit overwhelming. But the beauty is most of these platforms take their podcasting so seriously that they will hold your hand through the whole process. So I know when I joined Libsyn, straight away they put me into a webinar where they taught me all the things that I need to know. Or there's YouTube videos out there on how to get set up on Libsyn. I just follow those. I love looking at YouTube videos. So I just jumped on there and looked at making sure that I've set it up properly, making sure what are the character limits for the description, for the headline, what are the rules around a headline, because for example, when you're in Libsyn, you create a headline for your, like a title for your episode, and I have like episode 43, Kinsey Mackis talking about imposter syndrome, something like that. But if I'm in there, you also have a field to put a title for Apple Podcasts. You're not allowed to put the episode number in there, because they have a separate little field that says season and number, and you put it in there instead, and they will penalize you if you do that. So it's just little things like that that you want to know, but it's honestly, it's not that difficult. I know people that call themselves technologically challenged, and they run very successful podcasts as well. So most of the platforms I would recommend. Again, you get to choose on that. I'm not going to make an actual recommendation to you. I can tell you I use Libsyn. I can tell you that most of these platforms are as good as each other. But you do need to look at the gotchas. You do need to look at the privacy aspect. You need to look at the ads. You need to look at the other thing too with Anchor, and this is why I bring all this up, is don't use Anchor. I'm just putting it out there. Sorry if anyone here works for Anchor, but just don't use Anchor. And part of the reason for that as well is Anchor is one of the few platforms where you don't have to subscribe. You don't have to set yourself up on Apple. And like I said, that's a 2-second job. I wouldn't worry about doing that. But you don't have to do it because they control the connection to Apple. Now, that sounds good in theory, except if Anchor were to ever upset Apple, then you would lose that connection. So you would lose the connection to Apple because they would go, right, I'm upset with Anchor, so I'm going to kill that connection, and you won't get that back, which means, the largest platform for podcast listening would no longer have you on there. And even though that sounds like it's a long shot, it wouldn't happen, one thing I can tell you, I'm not predicting that's going to happen. It probably wouldn't happen, to be honest, but there's a potential for it. And the reason I say that is because there's a huge problem with piracy on Anchor. So on Anchor, there are people that will take Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast, and they will rip all of the audio from that. They will set it up on Anchor and pretend it's Gary V so that they get the advertising revenue. And they hope to build the audience before it gets taken down, essentially. And Anchor aren't policing that, so Apple is starting to get very stroppy with them. So there's tension there, so why would you play around with that? And the question's still coming in. Let's have a look. Right. What is the best structure for a podcast? How long of an intro, content, outro? That is a very good question, Vivian. I break the convention on this, so I don't recommend you do what I do. It just happens to be my personality, so that's how I do it. For an intro, I would keep it very, very short. You can either speak it yourself. So I have some music and I say, welcome to Chasing the Insights. It's my voice there going, the show that gives you the unfair advantage, blah, blah, blah. You hear from the biggest and best brains in the industry, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, one of the things you can do is when you record your intro, do 3 different variations with different music. Go out to your community and ask them which one they like. It's part of building that hype before you launch your podcast. If you go, hey guys, which is the one that you prefer? And then you actually have to either pretend that everyone voted for the one you wanted, or if they did vote for that one, then you give them props for that and say, hey, look, we chose this one. But anyway, short intro, short outro, do your housekeeping in there as well. But one of the things that is recommended is before your intro, and this is the bit where I don't do this, I probably should, before your intro music starts, you take a snippet of the show, a teaser of the show, and you put it up front. So when people push play on your podcast episode, they know what to expect. They hear a snippet of it and go, oh, I want to know more about that. And it's got to be something that's compelling that draws them and go, oh, I really want to listen to that. And then they hear the intro music and they hear you go, hey, welcome to the show, guys. Great to have you here, blah, blah, blah. And I go through making sure I remind them to subscribe so they don't miss out on the episodes. And don't forget to check out the Insider Club. So that's the kind of format I use. But it is recommended to do that little snippet up front. To be fair, though, I don't think it's critical. Like I said, I don't do it. And like 80% of listeners will listen to a full episode anyway. I don't think they're going to abandon if they just come in and there's intro music, but it is a recommended approach. The other thing too is I would make sure that in your actual intro itself, like when you're welcoming people in that, you talk about what to expect in the episode. You kind of set the expectation there. So that I think that's really important. How's your routine as a podcaster? Ouch, Sean. That's a really tricky question. Okay, full disclosure, I'm terrible at looking after myself. I am a workaholic if I'm not careful. So I need to make sure that I get into a really solid routine. So I have set days that I do an episode. I have set times that are blocked out of my calendar that I know I want to do the editing and put it live. But I'm at the stage now. I've got about 20 episodes ready to air. So I get well ahead of myself. So I do lots of interviews. And I'm at the point where I'm starting to look at outsourcing that now and going, okay, somebody else can do the editing for me. Somebody else can create all the little, what we call audiograms. So it's like a 1-minute snippet of audio with a nice little graphic background that you can use for marketing things, because that's going to make my life easier. And it's those kind of things that suck the time out of it and it's not as enjoyable. I want to be able to focus on interviewing people. And by the way, as I said, well, you're looking at advantages for podcasting, right? One of them is the connections that you will make with the guests you have on your show. If that's the format you're going to choose, you will form strong relationships with those guests. But there's another thing. think about this for a moment. If there are leaders in your industry, if there are people that you really want a connection to, when you're trying to reach out to them and go, I want to talk to you, they immediately think, oh, they're going to sell me something. But imagine if you could go out to them and go, hey, I'm a huge fan of what you do. I really like it. I would love to interview you on my podcast. Immediately you're offering some value to them, which means those doors get flung wide open. It's really easy to get conversations going with people that you want to connect with if you are offering for them to be on your podcast. It's a really great way to connect. Then they get to know you. Of course, they get to know your personality. And through that, you look at how you can add value to each other, i.e. how you can do a joint venture or how you can sell something to them. So next question's here. How do you schedule your podcast? What is the algorithm of a podcast? That's a really good question. So the algorithm of a podcast, basically, most of the audience will listen in the first 30 days to an episode, but there is no hard and fast rule around that. There's no best day of the week or best time of the day to launch, to put your episodes out there. I started by I wanted to do one episode per week, but I got so into this and I got so many episodes recorded, I thought I need to do 2 episodes per week. So I just started doing 2 episodes per week. So for me, they go out on Tuesday in New Zealand time. So Tuesday night around 9 p.m. they go out in New Zealand time, and Thursday New Zealand time. And the reason I do those 2 times is because that corresponds with my main market, which is the US and Canada. So that corresponds with basically midnight or so there. I can't remember what it exactly goes to. So that means when people get up on Monday morning for them in the US and Canada, they get up, they've got a podcast episode waiting for them. And then on Wednesday, midway during the week, they suddenly wake up and, oh, ta-da, they've got another episode. I don't know if there's any hard and fast rules around the algorithms there, though. Okay, where are we now? What would your advice be for us doing podcasting part-time? All of this work can be very overwhelming, especially when we're running our own business full-time. 100% agree with you there, Jonah. That is, like I talked about, the ugly, the good, the bad, and the ugly of podcasting. That is the more ugly side of podcasting, is the time suck that it's going to take from you. But like I said, there is no hard and fast rule about how many episodes you need to put out there. I put 2 episodes per week now. I know people that do 1 episode per month. I know people that do, these are more like crime dramas and things that do 1 episode every 2 months. There is no hard and fast rule. You get to set the expectation of what you do. Right, so yes, it does take a lot of time. Again, you can actually, what do we got here? Oh, I'll read that in a second. Yes, you can kind of, what was I going to say? You can outsource. So you can actually get other people to do it. And you can get people pretty cheaply in the Philippines. A lot of VAs over there have good podcasting experience. So they can do the editing for you. They can do the graphics for you. They can even push it live for you if you want. Although I do recommend you learn each of these different things because it will help you. What else do we got here? People, lots of names. Tuesday 9 p.m. New Zealand time, Thursday 9 p.m. Yep, so catered for Canadian market and the US market as well. Cool. Right. Okay, we are at almost at 1:15. So any last questions before we sign off here? Is there anything else? If I've missed any questions, then yell out. Just ask me again because it went so fast down there. You guys are very active. It's awesome. So if there's any other questions you have, make sure you pop it in there now, and I will answer those before we hand back over. Now's where I need to do some hold music or something. Maybe Baby Grogu can entertain you all while I wait for any last questions to come through. No, it seems like we've covered it all off. Look, guys, I want to thank you guys for attending this, and thank you for all your questions and everything as well. But one of the main things I want to say here is there is a huge opportunity with podcasts. Like, one of the things as entrepreneurs you need to do, like we talk about this whole concept of selling as being know, like, and trust, right? When people know you, like you, and trust you, then they will buy from you. Well, a good way to build trust is to become a thought leader. And a great way to become a thought leader is to basically put yourself out there on podcasts. Either be a guest on somebody else's or create your own as well. It gives you a platform to get your content in front of a target market, your content in front of your clients. It is a very powerful tool for that. And remember, just bringing it back to those stats again, 80% of people will listen to a full episode. So if you're doing a 30-minute episode or even a 60-minute episode, and 80% of your audience are listening to all of that, that is a lot of time to be consuming what you have to get across to them. What was the growth and benefit you experienced from doing your podcast? Oh, my goodness. Like I said, the growth was 15 times what I thought it was going to be. The other thing there is the connections I got from that have been really powerful. In fact, I want to give you a bit of feedback that I got from one of my episodes. And this was the piece of feedback that made me realize that I need to keep doing this all of the time. I just need to keep podcasting. And it was from a woman based in Canada who reached out to me after hearing me interview Kelly Cochran on my show. So Kelly has a really interesting story. She's a very loud personality. She's very vibrant, bubbly kind of person. But she'd been fired multiple times from corporate jobs because she disagreed with someone or she spoke out and they were like, well, you're only a woman. You're fired. I'm paraphrasing, but basically that's the attitude that they had. Makes me really angry. And then one day she went home and found out that her husband, she was in a bit of an abusive relationship and he was leaving her. So it should be a good thing. But she was going through a lot of emotions with this, went back to work and they were like, oh, you're dealing with all this? Oh, no, yeah, that's it. You're fired. So she'd been fired 3 times from corporate environments and her husband had left her. She sat in her car and she felt like a complete and utter failure and a complete loser. And that was the moment where she had the epiphany. I'm not doing her story any justice here, but it was the moment she had this epiphany that she needs to step into being herself. So she talks about that. She teaches women how to be themselves, how to live out loud, as she calls it. So I had her on my show, and it's an incredible episode. I got a lot of good feedback about it. However, this woman wrote to me and let me know that this had a profound impact on her. She had been fired about 6 months earlier, 6 or 7 months earlier, and she was a star employee, a high-performing employee in this organization, but they got a new manager in who just didn't like her, so got rid of her. Now, she talked to her husband about this and said, look, I've been fired, and she was quite embarrassed about that, but she didn't even really tell him how much that deeply hurt her and how much she felt like a failure and a loser. She thought to herself, I'm never going to be able to get a job again, so she started her own business, which is an interesting motivation to become an entrepreneur, by the way. But she started her own business and she kept hitting the ceiling in there. She heard Kelly talk about her story and she realized, I'm not alone. Other people have gone through what I've gone through and they aren't losers. They're not failures, so neither am I. So she started this process of being able to heal, to be able to deal with this. And she wrote me this big letter and she talked about what she had just gone through. But she also showed me the social post she was putting out there telling her story. And I've kept in touch with her since. And honestly, since that happened, she has unlocked something in her business because this emotional baggage has come off and she is absolutely crushing it. So for me, that one piece of feedback, more than any numbers, more than any of the connections, more than any of the doors that's open for me, that one piece of feedback was worth all of this effort and so, so much more. If you can change one person's life from a podcast, why would you not do that? So hopefully that answers all of your question, guys and girls. This has been so much fun. So I think we might be ready to hand back over. There we go. How's that for timing?
Thank you so much, Means. I think you did great with the timing here and you covered all the questions here in our session as well. So ladies and gentlemen, everyone, let's say thank you so much to Means at the comment box below. Let us know what is the one thing that you have learned today in our session with Vince. Okay, type your comments down in the comments below. Let us know. Whaley says, yes, we are never alone, no matter how bad our life is, just like this pandemic. That's right.
100%, guys, 100%. And by the way, I just want to say this, because I know this audience is entrepreneurs, and I want to say this everywhere I am when I'm dealing with entrepreneurs, but you guys are amazing. Like, genuinely, entrepreneurship is a high calling. You are essentially creating something that doesn't exist. That is pretty awesome. You are birthing something into this world that hasn't yet been created. Even if you're doing something that 100 or 1,000 other people are doing, the fact is what you're doing is so unique because you're doing it. That is worth celebrating. So I just want to honor you guys. Genuinely, you are incredible people. You are one of the small percentage of humans that have the courage and the tenacity to create something. And I think that's very special. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I was waiting for somebody to just go, I learned that having good headphones is really important. And I didn't talk about this, by the way. Wearing headphones is absolutely critical for getting good podcasts because you don't want the audio to basically come up with a feedback loop. So if I'm talking into a microphone and I've got the speakers here and the speakers are booming the sound that I'm talking into the microphone, that sound comes back out into the microphone, back through the speakers, microphone, speakers. It's a feedback loop. It's terrible quality sound when you do that.
Lesson learned here today as well. Okay, so thank you so much once again, Vince. Thank you for coming over here to 100X Entrepreneur Summit. Yeah, much love to you as well. All the best to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye. All right. I seen a lot of Interesting comment. Dixon says, hashtag how to podcast 101. Yeah, coming soon. How to podcast 102 also. One does not have to have high quality gear to start a podcast. One can start with a mobile phone. Jonah says, be ready to outsource my show into a podcast. Amazing, Jonah. Junhao says, yeah, about echoing. Wendy says, yeah, it shall be time, not too hard to repurpose after all. All right, guys. I think it was a very good session here with Vince. I think this is by far the session whereby we have so many questions for our speaker. Okay, I'd like to thank all of you for being so engaging with our speaker. Thank you so much for participating as well. I hope Vince has answered all of your questions. We did not miss out any of it. Yep, thank you. I will need to save some money to prepare the basic gears, Dixon. Don't worry, you can always start with the simplest one, okay? I think Vince has mentioned about the simplest gear. You don't have to get too fancy about it, because I think the main reason why all of us got stuck, okay, procrastinated, is because we're trying to find the best gear ever. Okay. All right, so keep your comments coming in. So now we're going to proceed with the Facebook Live giveaway. Okay, Facebook Live giveaway. Okay, I think this is the part where all of you, you can't wait for every part as well. I help you record. Wait, this is. Now we're going to give away 30 ringgit Shopee cash voucher for those who participated in this Facebook Live giveaway. So all you have to do is make sure you have shared, make sure you have tagged your friends, make sure you have liked our page, like our Facebook Live right now as well. Okay, so share, and share. Okay, take this opportunity now to share at least to 5 groups. Okay, 5 public groups, and tag 5 different friends into our Facebook Live right now. Okay, tag your friends, share this right now as we get more people to participate together in this 100X Entrepreneurs Summit. And of course, if you like what Vince has shared with us, don't forget to like our 100X community, our page. Join us. Okay, membership is absolutely free. And we also do have a feedback form. We would like to welcome all of you to leave a comment, leave your feedback at our feedback form. Let us know how else we can improve, how else we can do better. Okay, so leave a comment. Okay, we actually pinned the link in our comment box. If you want to join us, the link is there. Okay, www.100x.com/membership. I think that's the link, if I'm not wrong. And then of course our feedback form also, we'll pin the link up at the comment box for the feedback form. Thank you, Jonah. Thank you so much. Okay, so are you guys ready? Come on, guys. The next one. Okay, let's get ready for the first lucky draw. Dixon says yes. He's ready because he didn't win in the first round. Okay, Benjamin said giveaways. Come on, check all your friends. It's giveaways time. Facebook Live giveaways. I think we'll play some music during this time to get more people to come in. Okay, ready. Alfred, ready. Alfred, I've not won yet. Okay, so I hope that you win in this round. Or you want to give opportunity, give chance, kasih chance. Give chance to others to win. Jonah says, yay! Okay, so let's get things started. I've got enough time already for all of you to share. Dixon, you have not shared, so I don't think I can choose you, even if you are keying the keyword. So you have not shared, then that's not the one criteria is you have to be a sharer. Okay, make sure the name sharer on top of your name there. Okay. Junhao saying missed yesterday, gonna get it today. Okay, I try to take note. Alfred says I never win such things. Hayes, well, it's because you never try hard enough. You've got to be, as aggressive as the rest of the winners. How to win Facebook Live 101. Learn from the expert. Share more, tag more. Okay, the more you share, the more you tag, the more you leave the keywords down in the comment box, the higher chance of me picking you. Dixon says I shared to a few, but it doesn't show. Okay, maybe try to share again. And even have you shared to your own personal Facebook personal profile there? Alfred says, yes, learn from experts how to win, Moina says. Hey, we've got a few experts here from our Facebook Live. Warn, I think they know the routines. They know how to do already. So yeah, learn from them, all right? Okay, so guys, what we're going to do now, key in the keyword. Okay, the keyword now is I want all of you to type podcast, podcast, podcast. Everyone type podcast right now. So if you have plans to start your podcast, take this opportunity. Like Jonah, I like your idea where you can actually change. You're gonna build up your new podcast very soon. So I think who else also want Whaley? I think Whaley, right? She also wanted to start her own podcast. So if you wanted to kickstart your new podcast, okay, this is your time, right? This is your time. I think there is a growing demand of podcasts, and Malaysia itself, I know there are a couple good podcasts. I'm not sure what podcast have you guys heard of locally. There is the takeaway table. I think it's called takeaway table, and the other one is by the Head Over Heels. Not promoting them. I just so happen I remember there is this podcast. So let me know as well what podcast you guys listen here in Malaysia, or wherever you are in Singapore, or if you're in other countries, what podcast you guys listen to. Whaley is Chanel. Yes, I just remember Whaley is Chanel. Whaley Chong. Podcast. Okay, keep on sharing. Make sure you guys share. Okay, I'm gonna go out now and I'm gonna come in again. Okay, I'm gonna come in again. I'm gonna select. Jonah says V. Oh, is there a podcast that is V? I've started podcasts via Anchor. Thanks, Vince, for pointing out that IP belongs to Anchor instead of US. And motivational podcast, Morna says. Okay, so I'm gonna come in now. I'm gonna select the comment number 50. Okay, so keep on leaving a comment at the comment box down below. Okay, just keep on commenting. Jonah, why are you typing V instead? I think that's a typo. Okay, all right, yeah, podcast. Okay, 10. Okay, 16. 18, come on, keep it coming. 20. 22, come on guys, you have to do it faster. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, come on, type faster. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. I'm only seeing a couple of names here who are so aggressive. 35, 36. Come on, we've got 14. 14, yeah. 7, 38, 39, 40. Keep it coming, guys. Keep your comment coming. 41, 42. You have to be quick. 43. Who's gonna be the comment number 50? 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 48 already, come on. 49, and the winner is Sean Tan. Congratulations to you, Sean. Woohoo! Sean, you are the lucky winner here, Sean Tan. Congratulations to you, Sean. Yes, you have won yourself a 30 ringgit Shopee cash voucher. Okay, so hopefully if you're starting your podcast soon, you can utilize this cash voucher to go and get your gears. Yeah? You can get your gears at Shopee. All right. Okay, so next keyword. Okay, next keyword, guys, is 100x. Okay, next is 100x. I want all of you to type 100x right now. Type 100x. Oh, rejoice, Sean. Congrats, Sean. That's right. Really, I stopped Liao. I thought I can help you. Okay, really, you have to type faster. You really can't, the rest of them, they are really very fast. They're really very aggressive. Okay, type 100x. Everyone type 100x right now. All right, type 100x. 100x, 100x, 100x. Okay, I'm starting to see comments coming in already. Okay, this round I'm going to select number 30. So Yenwen says, hey, shh, next is you. Really next. Okay, hopefully. Okay, so next will be 30, yeah? So, okay, I'm going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Wait! Congratulations to you. You are the next one, Bailey. Yay! Finally! Chanel! Okay, I didn't pick her on purpose. Definitely not on purpose, okay? Just so happened this round she is very aggressive. And she appeared on number 30. Congratulations, Chanel. Okay. Disclaimer, she didn't bribe me anything. She didn't. Okay, I just so happened to see her name on the 30th comment. Okay, so congratulations to you, Chanel. And yeah, and Sean as well. So the last one here. Okay. Last one. I seen a very interesting comment. Okay, everyone. I want you all to type champion. Type champion here. Okay, type champion. Be confident, Yenwen says. Told you, right? No more podcasts, yeah? No more podcasts. Let's stop podcast. Let's stop 100x. The next keyword is champion. Okay, champion. Jackie says finally. Yeah, finally you can get this Shopee voucher. Go shopping, shop for gears for your podcast, shop for your Chinese New Year. Okay, champion. Yeah, the next one will be champion. I'm gonna select number 50. Okay, number 50. Keep your comments coming in. All right. Okay, I'm seeing it's flooding my whole box already. I'm gonna come in again. I'm gonna refresh again. Okay, let's see number 50 here. Who's gonna bring home? Hey, Weili, you already win lah. I'm not gonna select you again. Give other people a chance. Don't have to be so gung-ho. Yes, go away, Weili. Someone else, give someone else chance. Okay, everyone else except Sean, except Weili, you got the opportunity to win now. And those who have won earlier this afternoon, the first session, okay, so we're not going to select you. We're going to give opportunity to someone else so that everyone has the opportunity. Alfred, what happened to you? You stopped already, Alfred. How to win, Alfred? Okay. Now let me see again. I think got enough 50 already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, and the winner is Jackie! Congratulations, Jackie! Yes, you are the winner. Okay, the next winner, we've got Sean, we've got Chanel, and we've got Jackie. Congratulations to 3 of you guys. Sean, Weili, Jackie. That's right, congratulations. Okay, so this is the giveaway. Stay tuned. Right after this, the next session, there will also be a giveaway. And of course, if you have not participated in the selfie giveaway, the selfie check-in, now please do so right now, as long as you post a photo, your selfie with today's theme is friend or family. Post into your Facebook, your Instagram account, 100x Summit, hashtag 100x Summit, okay? And you stand a chance to win a special gift, okay? You stand a chance to win a mysterious gift from us as well. Come back tomorrow to our Facebook page to find out who's the lucky winner. Morna says congratulations. Thank you, Morna, for participating. Thank you the rest of you guys for participating as well. Jackie says yippee. All right. Yanwen says I compete with who win. I should appear more. Yes, you should appear more, Yanwen. We broke our egg record today. Who else have not won before? Okay, I'm talking about since day one until now. Have not won anything before. I will see who haven't really break their egg yet one. Dixon, never ever won. Okay, Dixon, I hope you break your egg later, okay? Who else have not won anything before? All right, let's have a look. Okay, now we're gonna show you guys a quick one about our agenda as well. Just a brief intro to all of you what's happening later on. Can we please switch to our agenda mode? All right. Now, early on, we have heard from Kimberly, we've heard from Vince. Now we're going to move on with a live chat with our current member, Mike. But after that, it's going to be with Zachary from Singapore. So he's going to talk to us on the topic of how to rapidly accelerate business growth. Wow, it's a topic. Okay, it's an interesting topic, especially if you are already starting your business. You know, you're thinking of ways. Okay, you make sure you stay tuned to our Facebook Live 6 o'clock. And of course, after that, there is a session together with our co-founders again with our 100x Summit committee. You can even get a virtual gift. Wow! Come and join them, okay, at 7:30 to 9 p.m. And the last session today is how you can 100x, 100 times your wealth with value investing by Daniel. Daniel is from Malaysia, okay? And there is also a closing special giveaways by Alfred. Now I know why Alfred can't win giveaways during Facebook Live, because he's the one who's going to give away. He will be doing a giveaway as well in the closing. So yeah, guys, do stay tuned. This is the agenda. You can take a screenshot in case you don't know what's happening right after this. Okay, so thank you so much for that. Celine says, drink some water, Vivian. Thank you so much, Celine. You are very caring. Thank you for reminding me. I will do so after this. So now I'm going to bring out our co-founder and, of course, our special guest, special member, as you all can see from the agenda earlier on. So please join me to welcome Josephine and Mike.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, hi Mike.
Hi, ladies. Miss
How
me
are
or
you
not?
today, Mike?
Oh, good. Been doing all right. Just finished the
Before that,
session.
we want to say thank you to you for the yesterday charcoal.
Yes,
Very
it
nice.
is so yummy. It's really good. Okay, I'm sure you saw our video already in our group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did.
It was so
Thank you.
delicious. Seriously, it's so good. Thank you so much. So sweet you are.
You're always
Yeah.
so sweet, and you are so sweet that you actually, like, with the last minute thing, you have some changes, and you're willing to come up and be interviewed by us. Thank you so much. And we are JYY. Everyone knows us 100S JYY. So J is Josephine, Y is Vicky, and Y is Yvonne.
Super.
Why? Because she is Y. So yeah, let's go on with Mike. Yeah. By the way, thank you for joining us, Mike, about today. You know what? So actually, Mike going to share with us on the experience in 100x. But before that, I wish Mike you can introduce yourself. What do you do?
Hi, my name is Mike. Been 30 years in the industry, tourism industry, and guess what I can do now is nothing. Well, I get to know what you call since 10 months ago. Yeah, we met up online, just like what we are doing right now. we spoke to one another, we care about one another, and then the best part about it is that we always have fun. Don't take us so seriously, especially when we are having fun. Our chat rooms are always very lively. We talk about everything, don't we? Yeah. I think
Yes.
sometimes you don't even realize when we talk about family and friends. I think you girls know my wife. So
Yes.
we know
Yes.
somebody somewhere. I know your boyfriend, I know your Bella, I know, I don't know about Yuki yet. So but anyway, I know about Julia and so on and so forth and everybody. So yeah, we are not only as a entrepreneur community, we are a family. We share almost everything. Good food we share, we cry, we do whatever. Right? Even like yesterday, when my wife was saying, "Hey, okay, what they are all working there? Okay, how many? I think 17. Okay, okay. I'm going to this place, so I'm going to get this charcoal over to DJ. So that's how you end up there.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So
So
sweet lah.
that's not
Really.
all me. It's not all me.
So
Yeah. So
and one thing. Yeah. Sorry.
coming back to 100x is that we started off like friends. We started off whereby we support one another. Then we talk about how to do things better, and then we teach one another. We leverage on one another. I mean, at the end of it is that okay. I I was a tour guide, and because of what I learned and because of how I actually present myself, and from that small little knowledge that I had, I did a training. And in that training, my what do you call, my current boss actually say, okay, look, okay, I want you here now. I said, what? I'm a tour leader, I'm in a travel trade, and now there's no way to travel, and you want me to be in your office? Yes. Okay, so since August, I have actually joined the company as a full-time director. Yeah, so taking care of all the operations. Well, we don't have any operating to do, but we still have to so-called keep on pivoting, keep on thinking, and then leveraging on one another's knowledge, and I start to write new itinerary, new agenda. So that's why I also use 100x as my platform. A platform for what? A platform to showcase what I know, and also to so-called like do testing. So it's not only to gather knowledge, we also test on one another. Then in my presentation, somebody will tell me, okay, you're doing good, you're doing change this, change that. That's why we are very frank, and sometimes we slap one another in the face, don't we? So that's what we are. So
Sure.
come in 100x, and you know more, learn more, and you feel more, right? So it's not about coming into a community to gain only. We also want to practice and give, right? So come on, join us right now. All right, then once we get into the momentum, of course, when you start, trust me, you're going to be blur. Okay, blur what, you don't know what is going on here and what they're talking about. But once you get the rhythm of it, then you realize, okay, we talk about all kind of philosophy, Chinese philosophy, 借刀殺人 also can do, this and that, this and that.
Strategy that one.
Yeah, we talk about what books, and then we talk about cheese, and we talk about food, right? Food, look for me, okay, this guy.
Not immediate.
All right,
Anything
come and
about
join us.
travel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask Mike.
Come and join us, then you will
Mike has
know.
bring us a lot to the have not bring us to the world, but he has bring us to many countries.
We
I
try.
remember when we had the last conversation with Mike. Actually, I just asked about Mike on to invite to come into our 9 sections. I can tell you, I'm so impressed and inspiring because as like my age, right, he's very open. Because I invited other tour leader or tour guide, right, they are so hesitate to come and share because I feel there's like closed door secret a lot. So when I talk to Mike, Mike is very open and he said he want to train. He want to train more people like him. Bring it all night. Now close down, you have to switch. So I'm so impressed, people like Mike, but he can change the mindset, openness, even better than the young people sometimes. So he's really a very good model. That's yeah,
Very good role model.
MCO.
That means you're telling me
That's
I'm
how
old
you
lah.
Actually, I try not to
Nah.
say that. Oh, but anyhow, I'm like acceptance. That's not always matured. Your charm on that.
Yeah. Cool.
That is
I
very good. Yeah.
I'm glad I'll be able to share, and then of course, well, we cannot travel now. The least I can do is bring you somewhere virtually. I cannot do a full virtual tour because I'm not there at location. So, well, we can do a lot of things. That's why you practice about public speaking. You try talking about personal branding, appearance, speed of talk, and then we learn from one another. We have so much to learn from one another. So yeah, come and join us. Come to our, especially our what we call cafeteria talk. Huh, that one is king. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Mike, remember? Oh my God! Yeah, Mike, remember the first time you did your. We should remember. We were there to celebrate your first talk. Your virtual. You organized a virtual event. You always you told us that you want to build a new generation, new blood that take over. The tour leaders. Um, Frontliners. I should remember that, and I believe you also did a lot of research on the mic and what speaker. I don't know what mic to use because there's one time I remember that we talk about mic in on the chat group, and suddenly you pop up. I said, "Hey, why suddenly mic talk so much about mics, microphone?" So I was so oh yeah, that I remember. Yeah, Mike did his research before he do his virtual summit. He's sharing. Yeah.
I see. All right. No wonder because even Mike is teaching me how to adjust the mic and how to share the music in the Zoom, which I'm facing a lot of problem.
And
at.
also that day when he had the session, during our Friday night Zoom, and then you could open the Zoom like so big, the screen, like all of us like thinking how to do that.
Yes.
Nobody knows, and Mike is like, oh, you just click this button, and it's like Mike is really good, the best, the best.
Actually, I learned from somebody here.
And so that's why you might be a bit of.
Sorry.
That's why you might be a bit funny. We are talking about cafeteria.
Yeah.
Perhaps Mike, you want to talk a little bit about the cafeteria that you mentioned just now?
Well, we do have our what we call like open talk, casual talk. Anybody can join in. You can ask anything. You can talk about anything, every subject. And one thing I love about this community is that we don't judge. Yeah, we extend help every time. Like, okay, straight on, go. But when we talk about judging, is everybody make mistakes? Yeah, all of us will, and all of us do. It's about correcting them, adjusting here and there, laugh over it, cry over it, and then okay, that's it. So we have one another to shoulder on. That's what it is. Yeah. So join us. Then you find out what is our cafeteria all about. We don't go there for coffee, okay?
Actually, we are not in
The ladies also have another toilet talk, bathroom.
bathroom.
Yeah.
We always doing fashion show in the bathroom.
Wait. People that is not in this, right?
Yeah.
They will be wondering what you doing in the bathroom. Actually,
So,
we have a
if you
virtual
want to find out more,
virtual office.
yeah, we do have virtual office. We do have
We open up. Yeah. We have bathroom, we have karaoke room, we have a Japanese room, we have a lounge, we have a cafeteria, we have a Zen area. So whenever there's always people inside there, and you want to find someone to talk to. It's called Discord. It's an application called Discord that we are using now. 100X is using now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chanel say, come on, take up the fashion show masterclass in the bathroom. all
Well-
sorts of crazy things we do in 100x.
Yeah.
So it's not just a community that, you just do sharing. People just want to take something back from you. But I think we are like family, like really, really close friends. Even though we don't see each other like physically, we just see each other through online. Yeah, but then,
I think you see us will be more than your
family.
especially in Discord, because there's a cigar room. But there's a few cigar smoker in our 100x, so we open a room just for the cigar room. Exactly. Actually, I try to open a room called Zen room. If you need Zen, come in my room.
Does it mean that everybody go inside there? They're going to be very quiet and
Quiet, or if you want being hypnosis by me.
or crying.
Oh yeah, sure. And even anger. Sometimes I get my I cannot call patients a client to speak some foul language to release their anger. But of course it's one-to-one only lah, not to public lah, please. I have also I requested for a Japanese room as well, so that I can be, because the Discord there's a lot of people going in, so I prefer to have my room, because I suppose bathroom is mine. But a lot of people is coming in and invading my bathroom. So I came out from my bathroom and I go to my Japanese room. True. It's so fun. Yeah.
Well, if you do not know what we are talking about, don't you worry. Come and join us. Join the link below somewhere. Okay, then you find out. Come and have fun. Right? It's not always work. It's also fun. It's also about, releasing your stress. So we have to, like I said, you don't have to do it alone. Right? Come and join us.
Exactly.
Thank you,
Thank you
ladies.
so much,
Thank you
Mike.
so much, Mike.
I will surprise you again next week. Okay,
Thank
ladies?
you. Oh wow. Please. Let's have to look at thank you, Mike. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
let's go
much,
for the
Mike. Video.
I think we should go.
Hi, I'm Eugene. 100X members always call me the Nirvana lady. I'm the bereavement specialist for represent Nirvana Asia. I'm helping clients to pre-plan their funeral arrangement and also pre-plan their final wishes. Before joining 100X, my marketing and my recruitment activity purely based on referral because my business network circle is not very big. After joining 100X, I get to know 200 new members just within very short time frames, and also the night sharing from different industry actually helped me a lot in improving my personal skill, my personal developments, and of course it's actually helped me to make me more confident in growing my agency. So come to join us. 100X could actually help you to enlarge and actually grow your business network, because people say your network is your net worth. All right, come to join us.
Hi everyone, I'm Eden. In this video, I'd like to share a bit about my journey with 100X. So when did I started to join 100X is somewhere, I can flashback somewhere about April or March. Basically, it's the first MCO lah. So at the beginning of the MCO, I used to have this game addiction with Dota 2. I used to play like 7 to 10 hours per day. Slowly, when I get in touch with 100X family, right, we used to have this night Zoom where we actually conduct from 10 to about like 3 a.m. in the morning. So I actually converted my interest from computer gaming to something which is benefiting me. Yeah. Basically, 100X is about a platform where we can actually hold each other's hands and also elevate to the next level. Basically, it's more about the journey, okay, not the results, okay, because results varies from different person. The most important thing that I actually learned from 100X is the support, the community, which gives us a lot of positive vibes. Early in the morning, you can see people already working hard that can actually create some of the for you to actually kickstart your day. So basically, that is the best part of 100X, because we are a very close community. So hope you guys will be interested, and if you like to join us, that would be great. Hope to see you guys in here. Thanks.
And what I really take a stand for is if you want to have a dream job, you need to create it yourself as an entrepreneur. Well, hey, it's Joe Nicasio, business coach. And I think what we really want to talk about today is the fact that a lot of people are unemployed right now. And it doesn't mean that they're not capable. They're all, most of them are capable. They're very capable of being employed. But the problem is we've created a culture of people who are employer reliant and not self-reliant. And so you can't really rely on an employer actually creating that dream job for you. And what I really take a stand for is if you want to have a dream job, you need to create it yourself as an entrepreneur. And, there's a little bit of a contradiction. We have many people that want to be entrepreneurs, but they're really scared because they've heard these scary statistics like 9 out of 10 businesses fail within 5 years. And, the reason why people fail is because, the risk in business comes from just simply not knowing what you're doing. And so if you've been in business before, if you failed in business, it's really not your fault. You're not to blame because the school system does not effectively teach entrepreneurship. The school system does not effectively teach you how to start a business and be successful within that business. But that's what I do. I've been a business coach since 1999. Before that, I made money, I lost money, I've crashed and burned, I've been there, done that. But going from technology into marketing and business development, I've worked with thousands of people that already have businesses, and I've also run into thousands of people that say they want to start a business, but they don't know how. They wish that there was a mentor to help them do that, and that's really what I've become. I've been called, I don't know if you believe in callings, but I feel I am called to serve people and help them be more self-reliant through entrepreneurship instead of employer-reliant.
Guys, I'm Shui, a clinical hypnotherapist as well as the founder of You Therapy. Through working with a lot of my clients and myself being an entrepreneur, I know how important it is to have a good mental and emotional state if you really want to succeed in business and in life. But in today's day and date, everybody is stressed out because of COVID, the political instability, economic status around the world. And so I'm going to talk to you guys all about stress, how to let stress work for you and not be a victim of stress. So join me at the 100X Summit. See you then.